All right, you just hit the digital download button on the Jumparound Podcast here on Spreaker.com. This week, it's just me and you and the mailbag. Listener mail with Wes. Coming up after that fancy music. It's coming at you. Episode number 9. Number 9. Number 9. Number 9. Number 9. Number 9. Well, my damn co-host has gone missing again. The round mound of sound from Sugar Hill, Georgia, Mr. Joe Beasley. He ain't nowhere to be found. 220 pounds of brown-eyed soul, Mr. Wes Parkey. It's the Jumparound Podcast coming at you here on Spreaker.com. Well, I know where I'm at this week. I'm over here at the lovely, as always, Jungle Room Studios here on the lovely east side of Beaufort, Georgia. But my co-host, Joe, I don't know where he's at again. He done ran away and hid again. He is supposedly, from all indications, he is somewhere in the hills of North Carolina, I think, doing some Boy Scouting. He's up there with a Boy Scout troop. He's called me a couple times. He has to evidently go about 10 miles away from the camp to get a signal on his cell phone. But he called me earlier. So they were having a lovely time. Oh, man, you won't believe this, man. We're just getting back in touch with nature up here on this big old hill over here. I think it's a Indian sweat lodge myself, but I said, well, so what are y'all doing over there on this hill at this Boy Scout camp? Oh, we're just having a big old time over here. We're doing woodworking and arts and crafts, and we got a big old pond. We're out here skinny dipping with the other scout troops, and you wouldn't believe how close to nature we're getting out here. We got to wipe our butts with tree leaves, and we're eating tree bark, and we're learning how to recycle our pee for drinking water. It's just a great time. You ought to come out to one of these things. I'm going to leave that to you, Joe. You have fun out there. And if you're doing all that stuff, wiping your butt with tree leaves and eating tree bark and recycling your pee for drinking water, I hope you get a badge out of it, even though you're not a scout. You're a man scout, I guess, now. Troop master, I don't know what to call it. But you keep on having a good time, Joe. We'll stay here. And we'll carry on without you. So without Big Joe here, this week, as he's out doing the scout thing, I decided what I would do, and I would just open up the floor to you, the listening public, and we'd have a listener mailbag day today. So if you got on the Twitter or you were on the Jumparound Podcast site there on Facebook, you saw that I sent out a little form there and said, hey, send in some listener questions, and we'll try to answer them for you as we go on tonight. So, man, I've got a lot of questions to go through here. We got a lot of stuff. So, let's see. Where can we start on the Jump Around Mail? Jump Around Mail. Yeah, when I get left alone, I do weird things like funny sound effects. So, let's see. Where can we go? We'll start with... I don't know. Let's go. Let's try with this one. Wes, if you had the chance to travel the country for a year, no worries about money, etc., would you rather fly between cities and chill at the hotel? Would you drive a motorhome or an RV? It can be one of those fancy tour buses. And park in an RV park or state park overnight. Or drive yourself and live in a motel and hotel along the way. Where would you go first? What would be your most important stop on your travels? And that's from, oh, look at this, from your co-host in the hills of South Carolina near the North Carolina border. Well, at least they have an internet connection, I guess. or unless he went up on top of that big hill 10 miles away so he could call. Well, let me see. So from Joe, what would I do? I think I would probably take the drive the motor home, the RV, across the country. I think that'd be pretty cool to do. Rather than just stay in a different hotel all night. I mean, carry your stuff with you. I mean, that's like carrying your house with you, having one of those real nice RVs. I think the most important stop I would make where would you go first? We'll do that one. Where would you go first? Probably onto the interstate. I don't know where I'd go first. You got the whole country to pick out. I'm sure my wife would have to have some kind of input into that as to where we go. So no telling. I'd probably end up in Texas somewhere, as my guess would be the first stop on the way out west, and then do the western swing and then come back this way. What would be the most important stop on your travels? Probably wherever you can dump the black water and gray water would be my guess. Truck stops, gas stations, something like that. That would be the most important stop. All right, so let's move on. Thanks to Joe in the South Carolina, North Carolina hills over there for that one. Let's see, what else do we have here? Here's one from Crappy Movie Buff. I don't know where Crappy Movie Buff is from, but hello. Wes, is there a movie so bad that you ever walked out? You must have had high hopes to make it to the theater and then walk out because it was so bad. I guess it'd be kind of like two that's happened to me on. The first one was, but I didn't really walk out of it. It was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That movie was so bad in my opinion. It was horrible. And we saw it in a really crappy movie theater. I wanted to walk out, but I was with a group, so I really couldn't do it. And then another one that we actually did, my wife and I did get up and walk out from, was that Owen Wilson. Is it Owen Wilson or it's one of those Wilson brothers, the one with the messed up nose? The movie Drill Bit Taylor. Yes, we got up and said, to hell with this. I don't even think we asked for our money back. We just got up and left. So Drill Bit Taylor would actually be the one movie that we got up and walked out of, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer would be the second. Here's a question from Mark K. in Carson City, Nevada. Hello. New listener up there in Carson City. Ain't never been to that part of Nevada because I don't think they got many casinos in Carson City. Here we go. Hello, Wes. I've heard the show and have noticed Las Vegas is a big destination for you and Joe. What do you think about the ongoing gambling problem in our country? Well, Mark, I don't know that it's a problem. I think it's a problem if you don't have the money and you try to go gamble. That, I think, is a problem. It's an issue. I think it's an individual issue. I don't think it's an issue that is a widespread problem. I mean, gambling has basically gone from one city, which was Las Vegas, to two cities, Las Vegas and Atlantic City. And then as cities really jumped onto the riverboat gambling growth or spurt back in the early 90s, and basically you've got gambling across the country now. So I'm not sure that you could consider it a problem. A lot of people consider it, I think, as entertainment. Now, if you are one of those people, though, that you gamble more than you have to spend as discretionary money, you probably need to go check out Gamblers Anonymous. But do I think it's a problem? I personally don't think it's a problem. I think if you're smart enough to go out there and budget your money and don't take more than you can afford to lose, you look at it as an entertainment if you lose, and you move on. Otherwise, Gamblers Anonymous for you. Let's see. Here's one from Kenna Rahi in Pearland, Texas. Kenna, hello. Kenna's got a couple of questions here. The first one being, Wes, what is your favorite Demi Lovato song? I would say none of them are my favorite songs. If I had to pick my most favorite one, it would be the one that is not playing on the air at the time. If it's not playing, it's got to be my favorite song by Demi Lovato. Not a big Demi Lovato fan or a fan of The Voice or American Idol or any kind of pop music, period. And then she says, Wes, how come my parents only have pictures of you laying down or with barely any clothes on? Kenna, they probably do have other pictures of me. The pictures that you're able to see at your age are because those are the only ones a child of your age should be seeing. The other ones are probably hidden well away from the light of day. They've got plenty of pictures, just none that you're old enough to be seeing, especially of your Uncle Wes in certain states. So there's more pictures, hon, but don't you just worry about them yet. Here's a question. Wes, how did you and Joe meet and become friends? Also, how did you meet the John and Cone Dog as well? How did I meet John and the Cone Dog, Gabriel? That's from Lee Spooner in Wilmington, North Carolina. Hello! Shout out to Wilmington. First time writer inner. Let's see. How did I meet Joe? Me and Joe have been friends since the 8th grade. Almost 30 years we've been friends. We lived in the same neighborhood and went to the same school. That's how me and Joe met. And me and John used to work together when John moved to Memphis, Tennessee. We used to work together for an airline, and we've been in touch with each other ever since. That was back in the mid-'90s. And the Cone Dog, Gabe, is actually John's brother. So I met Gabe through John when I went to visit Orlando and to meet his family down there, and went to Disney World on their dime. It's wonderful because Lord knows my alligator arms are not putting out for a Disney World ticket, especially at the prices they are today. So thank you, Moreno family, for hooking me up with Disney World passes whenever I would come down. Rodney Saunders from Greenville, South Carolina. Hello. Shout out to the Greenville, South Carolina folks out there. Rodney says, Wes, can you tell me if Joe has ever checked out a girl and then realized it was a guy? If he has, he's never told me. I think we're pretty tight. He's never told me if he has. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if it has happened to him. But you'll have to ask Joe that, or we'll have to ask Joe that. So maybe on the next show we'll squeeze that one in for Mr. Beasley. Let's see, these next ones. Somebody actually typed out their questions, looks like in like Microsoft Word or something, and then sent the picture of the computer screen to me. That's really, so I'm going to have to, let me see if I can read this. BC from Houston, Texas. Hello. BC sent several questions. Let's see, where do we start? Well, we can't answer that one. That'll have to be on an uncensored version of the show. Best chain hamburger that you have had. How about the top 5? This could let someone know of a place that they may not have tried yet. I always like these types of lists. The best chain hamburgers that I've had. Well, that would easily be number 1 would be the Whataburger. Gotta love that Whataburger. Number 2, I'd have to say probably In-N-Out Burgers. In-N-Out's awesome if you ever get out west. I think they have some in Dallas now. Not too many on the East Coast, if I'm not mistaken. But In-N-Out Burger, very good burger. I like a Hard Rock. If you go to any of the Hard Rock restaurants, they've got an awesome burger too. That used to be my absolute favorite before Whataburger. I've always liked the Wendy's hamburger, but they started fooling around with the French fries and all that, and I've kind of fallen out of favor. Everybody now, it seems like, is trying to copy the Five Guys formula because Five Guys did so well. Five Guys, okay with me. I can't say it's my favorite burger, but it tastes pretty good, especially when it's free. It's a different story. It's not an alligator arm story, so don't think about that. I'd have to say those would be the top 5 burgers. Wasn't that 5? Let's see. So Whataburger, In-N-Out Burger, Wendy's, Hard Rock, and the Five Guys would be my 5 favorite burgers. But Whataburger is probably head and shoulders above the rest. Let's see. BC also writes, can you please explain what a food fight place is and where these can be found? BC referring to when it's actually quite a long story, so I'll just try to tell you a brief synopsis. Long story short, we had one night where we were drinking very heavily imbibing, so to speak, and I got very bad drunk and passed out, and when I woke up there was a food fight going on in the hotel room. And I jumped up and told everybody if you wanted to have a food fight, go to a food fight place. Don't ask me what that means. I was drunk. And where can you find these at? It would be anywhere outside my hotel room. That's where the food fight place would be. Not in my room. Outside the room. Anywhere. That's where a food fight place is. Maybe one day we'll get to the longer story. Or at least the parts we can tell of that. Here's another question. This is from BC again. Could you please explain in detail what the term trouble means and how it has impacted you through the years? Well, trouble is what me and my little buddy Tyler have come up with in reference to a bottle of Jägermeister. That's what I call a bottle of Jäger is trouble. Oh, look, I've got my bottle of trouble. Because anytime I start drinking, see, I don't drink a shot of Jägermeister. I drink bottles of Jägermeister. So one night when I was seriously affected by drinking this bottle of Jägermeister, my little buddy Tyler, who was only about 5 or 6 at the time, he's like 16 or 17 now, but it was many years ago, Tyler got in between me and a pool table, and I fell backwards and crushed his head with my butt against the pool table, and it hurt. And from there on, Tyler referred to that bottle of Jägermeister as trouble because he knew when Uncle Wes and the bottle of Jäger got together, there was going to be some trouble. Not necessarily bad trouble like evil, but, there was going to be some hell being raised. And some crazy things might happen. So trouble refers to me and my bottle of Jäger. Here's a strange one. Kajuka Claus. Kachuka, Kachujka Claus. Claus, like Santa Claus. Kajuka Claus from Locust Grove, Georgia. All right. Says, is this the same Wes Parkey that left me at the Winn-Dixie 5 years ago? If it is, I miss you, baby. Please come home. Considering I didn't live in Georgia 5 years ago, I would guess no. Considering I was married 7.5 years ago, I would say no. But I do hope you find the Wes Parkey that you're looking for. Might be kind of hard, though, because I think I'm pretty much the only one. But good luck, Mr. or Mrs. Klaus, in finding your long-lost love there. I think someone was ribbing me with that question. Let's see, here's another one. Here's Piston Nissan from Tokyo, Japan. Long-distance listener. Piston Nissan from Tokyo, Japan. Hello, Tokyo. Hello. Do you know how I know you're gay? No, Piston, I don't. Why don't you tell me how you know I know? Or no, wait. How do you know how do you know how I know you're okay? How so you tell me, buddy. I don't have a clue. Next question. Let's see. Don Flamenco from Madrid, Spain. From Madrid. Hello. Or hola. Are you Eskimo brothers with any close friends or relatives? Eskimo brothers, I will leave that to you, the listening public, to go to urbandictionary.com and figure that one out, what an Eskimo brother is. But I believe with a few close friends, not any relatives, maybe a few close friends. I think there's been some Eskimo brother. I think I got a couple of Eskimo brothers, and I'll leave that one at that. urbandictionary.com, search Eskimo brothers. But the answer is yes. Here's a question from Bob in, Wayne. Wayne in Wayne W. from Tallahassee, Florida. Hello. Wayne says, do you guys think that FSU, Florida State University, is going to repeat as national champs with Jameis Crablegs Winston at the helm? My answer would be, I hope to hell not. I hope Alabama doesn't win because I'm sick of seeing Alabama win. But I want to keep it in the SEC. I don't like those ACC or any other conference taking it away. Hopefully somebody in the SEC will win that thing, though. But no to Mr. Crablegs and the Florida State Seminoles. This one's more of a comment than anything else. I'm a huge fan, and I would love to buy a Jumparound Podcast t-shirt. Will you guys ever have them available? And if so, will you please make them at least in a size 2X, as I'm a little bigger than the average man? That's from Bob. Bob C. in Charlotte, North Carolina. Shouting out to Charlotte, North Carolina. Hello. Nature boy country up there. Bob, I think we're, Joe's often said he'd like to have his own podcast or Jumparound Podcast t-shirt. So maybe we'll get Joe onto that to design a t-shirt that those of you that want a t-shirt can buy. We'll talk to Joe when he comes down off the mountain about that. Here's one from our growing fan base in New Bern, North Carolina. Steve Zimmerman. Hello. Says, Wes, other than WWE, what other games do you like to play on your Xbox or PlayStation? Well, I have a PlayStation on an Xbox. I'm not an Xbox fan, never have been. I actually had one time. I took it back. I hate the Xbox. I'm a PlayStation man. But generally I play some sports games, and that's about it. I'm not into these bloody, gory first-person shooters. I don't like going and buying the Medal of Honor or the Rainbow Six or whatever games and getting my ass kicked by some 10 or 11-year-old online. So I pretty much just stick to the sports games, the Maddens and college footballs and the baseball games, that kind of thing. Not a very big first-person shooter or games like that. But thanks for the question. Let's see. Here's one, Bald Taurus from Turkey. Who's ribbing me with these damn punch-out video game names? Bald Taurus from Turkey. Knowing there ain't nobody from Turkey listening to this show. Bald Taurus says, name or pick 2 celebrities to be your parents. 2 celebrities. Well, I guess for a guy like me, the 2 people that would need to be my parents would probably be Don Rickles and Phyllis Diller. Would be the only 2 I could think of. 2 people old enough to be my parents. Maybe Milton Berle. I don't know, somebody funny, somebody could have some laughs with. I'd probably pick 2 comedians to be my parents. I'd be like Ben Stiller having two comedians who are like, who have parents, or he has 2 parents that are comedians, something along that line. Whoever you are, Bald Taurus from Turkey, Mr. Mike Tyson Punch-Out video game, Mark. Here's another one from that BC fellow over in Houston. Let's see. Since you have flown free for most of your life, have you, or your adult life, have you, have you obviously traveled more? No, wait. Let's start all over. I'm reading this without reading it. Okay. Since you have flown for free most of your adult life, you have obviously traveled more than the average person. So how many of the 50 states have you visited? Which states have you yet to spend time in? Well, I can't name. There's 50 of them. I've been to a bunch of them. I think it's easier to name the ones I haven't been to. Let's see. Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Idaho, I don't think. It might be about the only ones. And I would say by this point, if I haven't been there, I'm not really interested in visiting that area, especially in the wintertime. Let me think if there's any place else I haven't been through. That's probably about it. It's got to be up in the north, though, if it's any place else. Oh, and I haven't been to Hawaii yet. I got to get to Hawaii sometime soon. Desperately. Got to go check out Hawaii. Haven't been to Hawaii yet. But thanks for that, and I will mark down Hawaii on one of those places to go probably next year. I think we got time to get in a couple more questions here. Let's see. Jeremy Adams from Sour, Atlanta. I guess it's supposed to be South Atlanta. Jeremy Adams, hello. Wants to know, Wes, have you ever been kicked out of any casinos while in Vegas? That's kind of a loaded question, too. The answer is yes. I've been kicked out of one casino, and at another casino, I was told to step away from the tables and that I couldn't play until the next day. And I was kicked out for something that I didn't do anything to deserve to be kicked out. I only asked a simple question. How long has that guy been holding the dice? Long story, but it wasn't. I had nothing to do with it. I just asked a simple question, and somebody didn't like it, and they asked for me to be removed from the casino. And I was. And I'll never go back to that dump again. And I was asked at another casino, which is actually still one of my favorite ones, to put down the dice and go away, and I couldn't come back and play until the next day. And that's because I guess I was taking too much money off of the table, to be honest with you. But I wasn't. It was a $5 table. But they didn't like the way I was shooting the dice. And it's their game. It's their football, or whatever you want to say. They can make the rules as they go, and they did. And they told me, put down the dice. You're done shooting for the night. And that was after about 10 minutes. So, yes, I have been kicked out of casinos while I was in Las Vegas. And the long story is much funnier than that. And one day we'll get to that when we've got all the players that were there involved in the story. And let's see. Trevor Deacon from Lynchburg, Virginia. Lynchburg, hello. We got the whole, we got the eastern seaboard covered here, I think. Trevor says, Wes, what is the craziest thing you have ever done? Trevor, why would I ever say out loud the craziest thing I've ever done? Why would I ever talk about that on a podcast? I'm trying to think if there's anything that was crazy that I could really mention on an uncensored show. I mean, I've done a lot of crazy things. Crazy, I guess, depends on what your level of crazy is. I mean, I bungee jumped from like 300 feet one time. That might be crazy in your book, but some people's books, that's kind of lame. Driven a race car, went 160 miles an hour. That was pretty fun, but that might not be crazy in somebody's book. I don't know. I mean, I can't think of what would be considered crazy. I'll have to think about that one, and maybe we'll use it as a topic on one of the shows one day. But if it was definitely crazy, I can't bring it up here. Like there's a story, once again, it's a Las Vegas story, about a couple of friends of mine and a horse. Can't talk about that here. I could probably say this much: running naked down a hallway of a hotel in Las Vegas. That might be crazy to some people, but that's about as much as I could say about it, and still remain, innocent to some degree. So I'll just leave it at that, and we'll probably bring that up later. Let's see. I think that's it for the questions that we've received. I want to thank everybody who sent in questions. Well, we appreciate it. Send those questions into the Jumparound Podcast site. They're on Facebook.com. Jumparound_pod on the Twitter machine. If you ever have any questions, send them in, and we'll see about answering them for you. We always love listener mail. So come back next week when we'll be back. Hopefully Big Joe will be here. Maybe he's done traveling for the year. And we'll have another episode for you then. We appreciate you tuning in. And, I guess that's it. So we'll talk to you next week. Until then, safe travels and bye-bye, everybody.